I yelled at my ex. Okay. So this was a message that came in after the video I did, how to win an argument with your girlfriend. I'll just read the message. It was short enough. Um, I watched your video on winning arguments with your girl, but I have this problem. My now ex-girl will really push my buttons, and I can't seem to help but lose my cool. We broke up because of all of the arguing, but we are still talking. We got into an argument the other day, and she said, "See, this is why we can't be together. What do I do to get control over my temper?" All right. So there's actually a lot here in this small little message and question. I had a few questions because I laid out, the four-step process of arguing and how to handle that with a woman in that video, which I'll link in the description. Um, Before I continue, though, let's do some housekeeping. Take your thumb and slide it over on your device, hit the subscribe button, okay? If you're on a computer, click with your mouse, and that way you can upkeep on videos I'm doing. If you like the video at the end, hit the like button too. I would appreciate that. Okay, so continuing is I laid out how to argue, but I got a couple of questions of, well, what do I do when I screw that up? And so here's step one of the argument process. And this is when a discussion, debate, or disagreement turns into an argument. The phase one is the attack and defend phase. This is where both parties are not trying to get to, not having an adult discussion anymore, and they're in a process of attacking and defending each other. And this is the place where she wants to be, and I'll explain why later. She likes this. This is where she's going to drive. She's driven to be in this place when there's a disagreement. And you have to take yourself out of that phase, okay? But what if you fuck up, right? What if you don't? If you participate in the phase and you yell, get mad, get upset, lose your cool. All right. The answer is really simple. And this is going to blow the minds of some of you, especially some of you guys who are watching and paying attention to other content creators that might tell you different advice. The answer is apologize and move on. Wait a second. Alpha guy is apologizing? What? All right, here's the thing about that. And I'll link a great 5-minute video clip too from Jocko Willink and Jocko's podcast about apologizing. Being alpha or beta in your behavior isn't necessarily about the action itself. It's about how you handle the action. So the act of apologizing by itself isn't alpha or it's not beta. How you do that, though, can make all the difference in the world, you see. And so you're going to apologize. You're going to do it the way that an alpha male would do that, which is where you own your mistake. You say, and you don't have to apologize always like, I'm sorry, and placating like a beta, okay? But you just say, hey, you know what? I lost my cool. I got upset. I yelled. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry about that. And then you continue with the phase, the process. I think maybe we need to take some time and we're getting too upset, we're getting too toxic. We need to take some time and talk about this later. And then you take yourself out of that phase one, that attack defend mode thing, right? But the key is you own your shit, okay? But then you move on. You don't linger there and let her beat you up over that and you don't lose frame because you made a mistake, okay? And so that's really important here because she wants you to lose frame. She wants to try to push your buttons. This is also why she wants the attack defend phase, okay? That's why she wants phase one, and in the attack she wants to keep you there for a little while to get you to make a mistake. She wants you to make a mistake. Now it's not because she's a bad person, okay? It goes back to, and I talked about it in that previous video, bad chimpanzee, good chimpanzee. She needs to be a good chimpanzee, right? And if she's a bad chimpanzee, then that means she gets stoned to death or thrown out of the tribe. I mean, they got to understand a woman's value, it was based in her social standing in a tribe. And if she lost her utility or value in that tribe, she would get killed or stoned. In fact, that evolutionary psychology book, Sapiens, all right, has a excerpt when in the 50s or 60s, when anthropologists, I think it was the 50s, had come into a tribe that was still a hunter-gatherer type tribe. And one of the males, who's talking about his job was to sneak up behind the women when they lost their utility and club them over the head. All right. And this is generally the elderly women who weren't of mating stock anymore. But this could also be women of lower social standing, you see. So for women, back as I explained in that previous video, it's all about being, their primal drive is predicated on, am I a good chimp or am I a bad chimp? For you as a male, that doesn't matter as much. You could be a bad chimp and still kill the enemies and protect your tribe and bring in food from the hunt and all that. See, the resources you bring in and what you produce as a male is what makes or predicates your value. You can be kind of a bad chimp. In fact, bad chimps get laid. You know what I'm saying? So being a bad chimp isn't a bad thing. All right. So this is why you don't have this same issue. Guys will always talk about how come women can never admit that they're wrong? How come they never, you know what I mean? We have this societal thing of a woman's always right. Like, because we're gynocentric. Why do we have that? Well, we have that because women have to be good chimps. If they're good chimps, then they get killed, you see. And so you have to understand her drive. She's done something wrong, let's say. Or there's a disagreement. She's wrong, all right? Let's pretend that's the case. A lot of times it's the case, right? Well, what she wants to do is she wants to keep you in that attack, defend portion of the argument to get you to fuck up, right? To get you to yell, to get you to lose your frame, lose control. She wants you to do that because once you do that, then now she's the good chimp and you've yelled at her. It's not about, what she did wrong now. It's about how you handled it, you see. And so now you're wrong for how you handled it. Or, well, I guess we're both wrong. See, whatever makes her able to be a good chimp is what she'll admit fault, and she'll admit if admitting fault means that if she doesn't admit fault, then she'll be the bad chimp, then she'll admit fault and she'll apologize. But other than that, making too many mistakes, right, or having that perception of somebody who makes mistakes or is wrong a lot, it means you're a bad chimpanzee and you get stoned to death. And so that is why in these arguments, she is more interested in feeling better and being right rather than doing what's right. Okay. So she's going to try to push your buttons. That's what her job is. All right. And there's also a little bit of that where that's a dominance test as well. Okay. Because if you lose your cool with a chick, all right, then obviously you weren't. That's demonstrating a lack of dominance and a lack of alpha behavior. Anger is okay, but it's how you handle the anger that's the issue. Okay, so when you lose your cool with your chick, when you get angry, it demonstrates that again you lack dominance. Unless you're going to beat her up or kill her, which I hope not. Okay, it's beta anger, right? You're not doing anything. You're just pointing and sputtering, which is beta anger. Okay, that's and it sends a message to her hindbrain that she is better than you, and also that she can't be emotionally safe with you. So one of the worst things you could do is lose your cool, yell, and call her names, and you know what I'm saying. And believe me, I've been guilty of that because again, anger is the appropriate emotion in the face of injustice. And if she is being an asshole, she is being an ass, then she is creating an injustice, and anger is the appropriate emotion. However, it's not always the appropriate or most productive response. Okay, so when you respond like that, you're letting her know that she is in control. She has control of you, and that's the frame. Okay, so as an alpha male, you want to be like a mountain. All right, you're strong, you're unfettered by her behavior. If she brings toxicity and drama, then you point to the door. You see what I'm saying? And then until she can start behaving better, that is the way to handle it. And I discussed all that. But if you lose your cool, you just apologize or own it and then move on. You don't linger there. You just own it and then you move on. You don't let her linger there. But you yelled at me and called me a bitch. Listen, I know I told you that that's not okay, but that's not what we're discussing right now. All right? We're discussing the issue that caused us to get upset with each other in the first place. You see what I'm saying? You admit it, but then you move on to what the important thing is. All right? And again, you're not going to you're not going to appeal to logic, and you're not going to do those things, and I explained that in the other video. But it's okay. See, not being able to apologize when it's appropriate, or just it's not even necessarily about the apology itself, but to own the mistake is a weakness. Insecure men can't do that. Insecure men that are, I'm afraid of losing frame, can't say to their chick, yeah, I fucked that one up. But hey, it is what it is. Let's move forward. You know what I mean? Like, either you're moving forward or you're not moving forward, and you're still fucking in charge. If you do the apology in a manner where you're taking ownership and you're still in charge and you're moving forward and moving the relationship forward as a leader, then you're not losing your alpha status. You're not losing frame. And in fact, if anything, you're gaining frame in the higher ground for being able to have that introspection and admit to things that you've done wrong, where she may be struggling to do that. You see what I'm saying? And so don't be afraid to admit to those things. But the problem is, a lot of you guys are trying to overcome more beta behavior. And so, you have a fear of doing that, because then this fear of making it all about the apology, and now have to placate and appeal to her emotions to try to make, because you made this mistake, and now I have to buy her flowers because I'm in the doghouse, and like all that bullshit. Okay, so don't fall into that stuff. All right, you just apologize or own it, and then you move through the process. So again, in the 4-step process, she's trying to keep you in the attack defend mode. You just own it. Hey, you know what? I shouldn't have called you. Let's say you called her a bitch. Shouldn't have called you a bitch. I shouldn't have gotten angry. But we're gonna take a day or two, and I'll let you know when I'm not so upset, and then we can have a conversation when we're both able to talk to each other like adults who actually care about each other. And that's it, right? So boom, you just took charge while owning your own shit. You see, and so that's what you do. You just own it. Not a big deal, because people make mistakes, and then you move forward along the process of winning that argument, not just for her, but not just for you, but for her too. All right. So thanks for tuning in. If you need more help, coaching, anything like that, hit me in private message. Hit me in a private message if you have questions. I can answer them in video. All right. Again, subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time.